بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Briefly, inshallah, we'll take some fawaid بإذن ta'ala, fatwa or two with the time that we have, inshallah. Maybe we'll take a fatwa from this book. Unless you brothers have any questions here. Question says, سئل فضيلة الشيخ محمد بن إبراهيم آل الشيخ امرأة متوضئة للصلاة وتوسخ طفلها واحتاج للتغسيل فغسلته ونظفته عن النجاسة، فهل ينتقض وضوءها بذلك؟ الجواب: إن مست أحد فرجيه انتقض وضوءها بذلك، وإلا فلا ينتقض وضوءها بمجرد تغسيله حتى لو باشرت غسل النجاسة بيدها، وعليها ملاحظة تطهير يدها بعد ذلك والاحتراز من تعدي النجاسة على بدنها وثوبها. The question is regarding something very common, very practical, nothing in outer space, something that takes place on a daily basis, and something that in most cases, I would probably say each and every one of us went through and was a part of at one stage or another in our lives. And that is a woman changing a baby's diaper, a woman changing a baby's pamper. If and when she changes the baby's pamper, does she need to refresh her wudu? Does she need to make her wudu up if and when she touches the baby's private areas? Most of us, Allahu Alam, maybe some brothers grew up were raised by wolves, who knows? But most of us were raised, nurtured, and taken care of by our mothers. Most of us, if not all of us. And most of us sitting here have children, married, etc., etc. So therefore, changing a baby's pamper or a baby's diaper is a common thing. It's something on a daily basis. Even if you don't do it professionally, your wife may ask you, can you do it? You never know. You have a child with you, you're traveling, they're potty training, etc. So the concept of, is your wudu broken when you do that? Let alone our sisters out there who have children and who raise children and who change pampers several times a day. Does the wudu become broken with regards to that? So Sheikh Muhammad ibn Ibrahim Al Sheikh, may Allah have mercy on him, he says there's a woman who has wudu. Obviously her baby became soiled, needed a pamper change or diaper change. She washed him, she cleaned him or cleaned her, and is her wudu broken now? It's time to pray. She's in the masjid or she's at home. Now it's time for the salat. What does she have to do? The answer says, إن مست أحد فرجيه انتقض وضوءها بذلك. If the woman touches one of the two private parts of the baby, then her wudu is broken, meaning front or back. And if not, if she doesn't touch one of the two private areas, then her wudu is safe and sound. And just because she washes a baby or changes a baby or cleans a baby, it does not mean that her wudu is broken, even if she touches najasa. Even if she touches the urine or the stool of the baby, it doesn't mean that her wudu is nullified or her wudu is broken. Point number 3. He says, and she should be mindful of washing her hands and not allowing the najasa to spread from one place to another at the time of changing the baby. And that's the end of the fatwa of Sheikh Muhammad ibn Ibrahim and his Sheikh Rahimahullah. A few very important points to reflect on. Number 1 is that this fatwa is based off of is surrounded by a bigger issue among the ulama of Islam, among a bigger issue. And that is things which nullify wudu, which every single Muslim should have a basic understanding of. Things that nullify wudu, and you'll be shocked by a widespread ignorance, especially among our children and teenagers. Basic things they don't know about wudu when wudu is broken. And they say, oh, I thought I could still pray. Or I didn't know I had to wash my feet. I didn't know my wudu was broken, etc., etc. And that's a problem, which is a reflection on us. If they don't know the basics of wudu, then what do we expect them to be in 20 years? So therefore, what breaks wudu? Number one. Number two, the issues that branch off of one's wudu being broken. And from that is touching your private part. The Prophet ﷺ says, "Man massa farjahu falyatawadda." Whoever touches his private area should make wudu. And the Prophet ﷺ also says in another authentic hadith, when he was asked about a man who offers the prayer and he happens to touch his private part, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Hal huwa illa bud'atun minka." He says, is your private part nothing more than a part of your body? Meaning, you touch your elbow, you don't have to make wudu. You touch your neck, you don't have to make wudu. You touch your knee, you don't have to touch wudu. And if you touch your private part, you don't have to make wudu. So these are two authentic hadiths which seem to clash and contradict. And this issue has caused the scholars of Islam to differ on, does touching the private part break wudu or not? You understand? Different madhabs. If you touch your private part, such as taking a shower, putting on lotion, changing your underwear, whatever you do, and you touch your private area for whatever reason, you have to scratch, whatever it may be. So therefore, is your wudu broken or not? That's a long discussion. Under that discussion comes the furu'at, the branches, issues that branch off, such as touching your private part with or without a barrier, such as touching the front versus touching the back, such as if someone else touches your private area, and such as if you touch someone else's private area. All of those side issues branch off from the bigger issue, and from that is this issue. A woman touches her child's private part, not her private part, is not lustful, etc., etc., etc. Is her wudu broken? Let alone the fact that, did the Prophet ﷺ say the two private areas, or just says dhakarahu, farjahu? So there are different issues that branch off from that. Washing the dead, another issue that pertains to that, etc., etc. So obviously, the Mufti here, his madhab, the opinion that he believes or he holds, is that the issue of breaking wudu pertaining to one's private part is actual, according to him. And it's not just recommended to make wudu or those who touch their private parts lustfully. Men messa, he who touches. Secondly, his madhab clearly states is that it pertains to how many? Both, and not just the front. And thirdly, it also shows that if a Muslim touches someone else's private part, then the wudu is broken. I would understand this. Fourthly, is that this only pertains to directly touching the private part and not without a screen or a barrier, such as a glove, such as a baby wipe or a napkin. But if the hand touches another part of the skin, then that's what's meant by mess, or man afda biyadihi ila farjihi. Everybody understand how to conceptualize and understand a fatwa. Last but not least or two more things. He goes to show, and his opinion and view is that going towards najasa does not break wudu. There's no proof to state that. Somebody may say if you touch something najis, you gotta make wudu. So let's say for one reason or another, you touch something which was impure, using the bathroom or cleaning up, and it got on you. Just because it's najis and you have to wash your hands, it has nothing to do with the ritual purity or impurity. The wudu is ma'nawi. It's not shay which is hissi. The wudu is something which it's not physical, it's metaphysical. You make wudu, you make ghusl spiritually. You're clean. Man is with his wife. There's no filth upon his body. He has to make ghusl because he's metaphysically impure. Versus a dog urinates on you, on your leg, on your foot, that is physically najis. Everyone understand this? And many Muslims, they think and they believe is that if najasa gets on you, then you have to make wudu. And that's a khata, that's wrong. The wudu is only broken by that which is mentioned in Quran or Sunnah to be broken. You understand? Najasa being washed isn't the wudu or ghusl that a person has to make. Last but not least, we see here the beauty of this fatwa is that the Shaykh points out something which is known to people, but because people do something, they do a thing so often, they become desensitized and it becomes a normal thing and they look down upon it. And that is changing a baby's diaper. Like women who breastfeed. It's so normal, it's so easy, so simple, they may start breastfeeding their child in front of someone that they're not supposed to. And they don't cover their cells properly. And the same applies to changing the baby's diaper. They may be laxed, or the babies want to have on a diaper, so just leave it, leave the najasa, or it's no biggie, it's no thing, it's just a little bit on my hand, it's just a little bit on a rug, it's just a little bit on my clothes. And that's incorrect. Anything which is najis is supposed to be avoided, it's supposed to be cleaned, and it's supposed to be shunned Islamically. No matter how many times you do it a day. And there are many things that people do, and it becomes such a simple, easy thing, they don't look at it as a biggie anymore. Is this not the case? Oh, just leave it. Oh, I'm going to go back to the bathroom. Oh, well, the baby's just going to do it again. Or the cat's just going to pee again, so just leave it there. Or just such and such. La. Najasa has to be avoided and has to be shunned. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Any questions? Fadal Sheikh.
Based on this fatwa, doesn't it seem to be a hardship on the people if you have to make wudu after touching, the private part of a child, a baby, specifically a baby?
Is this a hardship, especially a baby, in which a woman is going to do several times a day, etc.? Some scholars may say this, and that is why they have different views with regards to the bigger issue, let alone the small issues. Some people say it's a hardship having to make wudu if you touch your private part. Or they may say your wudu is only broken if you touch your private part, and not if you have to touch someone else's. And others may say even if touching someone else's private part breaks the wudu, the baby's underage, let alone it is mashaqqa. It's a hardship, it's a difficulty. And other scholars say what? No, the rules are the rules. Wallahu ta'ala alam. So that's one way of looking at it. That's a fact. And Allah knows best. Anything else? Wa iyyakum. Barakallahu fikum. First question is coming from initials AB, Bural, Somaliland. Can you explain the following hadith? لا تجزي صلاة لا يقيم الرجل فيها صلبه في الركوع والسجود. بارك الله فيكم. There are things with regards to yuqimu. A man has to straighten or flatten or fix his bones or his back in this position or that position, which are mandatory, which are basic parts of the salah. And if a person doesn't, then the salah la tujzi is invalid. A person doesn't make ruku at all, or they make ruku and they're pretty much still standing erect. And there are other levels of ruku, the straightness of the man's back, the head not dipping down, the head not sticking up like many brothers do, which is a mistake. There are different levels of polish on the position in the salah, and which if a person didn't polish, the prayer still would be valid. All right? As far as a person not making ruku, or they're barely bending their back, they're barely making sujood, or this part of the body isn't on the ground, then la tujzi, the prayer is invalid. Whereas these things are arkan of the salah. And many of these things, there's no difference of opinion among any madhab that must be done. So there's the basic movement in a prayer that has to be done to an extent. And then there are levels of sujood. How long you stay, what you say, how firmly planted your body parts are, etc., etc. Wallahu ta'ala alam. The next question comes from initials RR from Kerala, India. is watching beneficial videos which has women in it haram, even if it's beneficial. Stay away from watching a video of a woman of a non-mahram if you don't have to watch it, inshallah. And try your best to find something else which is beneficial. Initials, same initials. AM from Cairo, Egypt, no question. RR from Kerala, India. I know it's haram to keep deceased one's photo, but is it allowed? Empty your cup. MD from Atib, Hyderabad, India. Assalamu alaikum Mufti. Is it a form of hidden shirk to make a goal to memorize 4 ayat from Quran every single day, since quality matters more than quantity? I wouldn't say it's hidden shirk, and Allah knows best. AB, Cairo, Egypt. هل أنصح أمدة الأحكام ثم البلوغ ثم أتجاوز العمدة وما النصيحة يا شيخنا لحفظ الأحاديث وما أعانكم في ذلك؟ بارك الله فيك. يعني في كل خير. المؤمن القوي خير وأحب إلى الله من المؤمن الضعيف، في كل خير. في البلوغ خير وفي العمدة خير. فإن نويت الازدياد من العلم والمواصلة في طلب العلم وفي السير في تحصيل العلم النافع فاحفظ المتنين. وإن أحببت الاختصار وإن أحببت عدم التطويل والإطالة فاحفظ البلوغ واكتفي به. وأما نصائح لحفظ الأحاديث فأولا أنصحك بالاستعانة بالله تعالى والإخلاص له وسؤاله التوفيق والعون. وثانيا أنصحك بترك المعاصي. وثالثا أنصحك يعني بالاجتهاد، تجتهد يوما بعد يوم، أسبوع بعد أسبوع، شهر بعد شهر، سنة بعد سنة. تحتاج إلى البلغة طول الزمن، وتحتاج كذلك إلى مجالسة يعني من هو مثلك، يعني من له يعني همة مثلك في الطلب وفي الحفظ وفي التحصيل. ولنا دروس مسجلة وكتب ومتون مشروحة في كيفية الطلب وكيفية التحصيل والنصائح التربوية والنصائح التي يعني يحتاجها طالب العلم للحفظ وللفهم وللقراءة وللمواصلة. فأنصحك بمشاهدتها وبالسماع لها، والله أعلم. وفقكم Allah. ML from Copenhagen, Denmark. Salam alaikum Mufti. If I come late to a congregational prayer and the Imam is on the 4th rak'ah during the tashahhud and I join the Imam, have I prayed 1 rak'ah or do I need to make 4? No. If the Imam is past the ruku', you have to make up 4 complete rak'at upon his taslim. 4 complete rak'at. You do not catch that rak'ah, but you do join it. And Allah knows best. AA from Brooklyn, New York. Assalamu alaikum. I'm confused on wiping over socks. Does 24 hours start after wiping for first time or upon breaking wudu or otherwise? Jazakumullahu khairan. The first time you make masah, you put them on. The time that you make what? Mess. You have time, 24 hours for the masah. Not prayers that you make, wudu being broken, etc. Wallahu alam. MB from Marietta, Georgia. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. May Allah bless you and your family. What's the ruling on killing bugs such as flies, gnats, or mosquitoes? Jazakumullahu khairan. Alaikum salam wa barakatuh. May Allah bless you and your family as well. If it's a need to do so, then it's permissible to do so. DZ from Philly. If you touch your cheek of the buttocks, breaks wudu, like we explained in the fatwa. Some ulama say that. RR from Kerala, India. Could you recommend books for aqidah and fiqh for the layman? For sure. Al-Usul al-Thalatha, Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah ta'ala. And as far as fiqh books, Adabul Mashi ila Salah, also by Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah. And there are countless other books by scholars before and after Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. It says, I'm from Ghana and we love you so much. Barakallahu fikum. We love you brothers and sisters in Ghana as well. All of the disciples in the motherlands, West Africa. May Allah bless you all. Hopefully you get to visit you one day, inshallah. Allah yahfadhukum. Ahabaka alladhi ahbabtani fi. Ameen. Allah yahfadhukum. Allah yahzakul khair. Allah yuwaffiqkum. RR from Kerala, India. I'm learning Medina Arabic book, but could you give some tips for understanding and speaking Arabic easily and fluently, especially I live in a non-Muslim country? Practice, and what? More practice, repetition, and lack of fear. You have to lose your fear of embarrassment or stuttering or people making fun of you or I'm not good enough. The mentality, the philosophy of seeking knowledge, and we've been stressing this for years, is just as important, if not more important, than the physicality of talab al-ilm, like sports. The physical training, the cardio, being in shape, the skill of the sport. Oftentimes the what? The mentality is better. I'm scared of missing a shot. I'm scared of dropping a pass. I'm scared of getting booed. I'm scared of getting injured. I'm not good enough. You have to get rid of that. So many brothers, they want to learn Arabic, but they're afraid. They have waswas. They're bothered by this and they're bothered by that. So you have to have the proper mentality of learning Arabic, that I'm going to do it. I will do it. Allah will bless me. You have to keep hacking at the tree. Wallahu alam. MD from Atib from Hyderabad, India. During dua, how can I differentiate having tawakkul on Allah versus me in the depths of my heart thinking that Allah will give it? Because Allah make dua. وَقَالَ رَبُّكُمْ أُدْعُونِي. Your Lord says, call on me. That's your job. That's all you got to do. And have the yaqeen that Allah will answer the dua of His believing slaves. S.A. from London, England. Assalamu alaikum, Ustaz. Seems as if we skipped the question, sorry. A.A. from Constanta, Romania. Is it possible to read the common books with their sharh by yourself to become a student of knowledge if a teacher is not currently available? Jazakallah khairan. Yes, it is. Not only is it possible, and not only is it recommended, but it is obligatory. Whereas Allah tells us to do what we can and to fear Him the best way we can. فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَسْتَطَعْتُمْ. I have no teacher. I don't have no place to go to sit with someone. You do what you can. May Allah bless all the Muslims in Romania and all of the disciples in the Balkans and all other parts of the world. Question is coming from Hamza from Holland. Last name, first name, initials. S.A. London in England. Assalamu alaikum. Afwan, my keyboard is playing about Ustad. What is the ruling on microblading for women, please? It is a form of semi-permanent tattooing applied to the eyebrows. Anything which permanently adjusts the hair of a woman's eyebrows is prohibited. It may be allowed to use bleach, things like this, but trimming, cutting, semi-this, that's all included in the nums. Wallahu alam. A.A. TD from London. Oh, assalamu alaikum. TD from London. How shall I learn the Quran? Try and memorize the surahs in order from Nasr, read randomly the surahs, or read from Surah Baqarah. If you're memorizing, get a teacher. Number one. If you can't have a teacher, get a buddy. Someone to study with, someone to memorize with. Start memorizing, inshallah, from An-Nas to the beginning of Juz Aman. Your daily portion of reading the Quran should be from Fatiha to Nas. And your revision should be based off of what you've already memorized. And as far as if you want to read things during the day, other than that, listen to the Quran other than that, then that's fine. It doesn't have to be in no specific order. ZH from Amsterdam, Holland. What is the best way to seek knowledge in the West? We've explained that, what? And countless videos. Please go back to the playlist that we've made just for that. IS from Melbourne, Australia. How do I encourage my kids to memorize the Quran? First and foremost, you memorize the Quran yourself. Lead by example. Secondly, give them rewards. Make rewards for them. That which they must do. It's mandatory for you to study this. You reward them as soon as they do it. And the qaida is, they say in the ancient books, we're quoting from these ancient books, ancient China, when they talk about the art of war and the art of administering an empire and a dynasty. And one of the most important rules of successfully maintaining an empire and a dynasty is that rewards should never be delayed. The soldier that's told to capture this or this person or do this, the moment he brings it back, the emperor is supposed to what? Give him the chest of gold. He's supposed to give him the deeds to the land. It's not supposed to be next week. It's going to be a ceremony. The moment he fulfills his mission, the soldier should be rewarded. And the same applies to those who are prohibited from fleeing the battlefield, or they're prohibited from taking the spoils, or molesting the conquered people, or stealing from the war spoils, etc., etc., etc. The moment he's captured, the moment he's caught violating, he's supposed to be what? Punished. It's not supposed to be delayed. Oh, he's noble. Tomorrow, I don't feel like it. I don't want the people to think I'm a harsh ruler. The moment the soldier breaks the rules, the moment the citizen violates the rules, he's supposed to be what? Off with whatever is being cut off. So the mentality is that with children, whenever they memorize something, they do something good, they should be rewarded immediately. Immediately. And whenever they don't memorize what they're supposed to do, they should be disciplined. Whatever the level of discipline may be. I'm not saying you have to beat your kids. As far as the recommended memorization, things that they don't have to do, but the child takes it upon themselves to do it, you should also reward them well. And they should be taught the law of nature, quote unquote, is that there's a reward for good deeds. There's a reward for hard work. You play video games? Okay, no problem. You're not in trouble. You want to laugh and joke and eat? That's fine. But if you want to memorize and learn the book of Allah, I'll give you money. I'll buy you things. I'll treat you special, yes. You get things that the other children won't. Because the Quran is special. The Quran is powerful. And they need to know is that there has to be a reward in this world, what? And in the hereafter. And the last piece of advice is to surround your children upon other children who have similar goals. And Allah Azza wa Jal surely knows best. Tell you, we took a few questions here from Instagram. If there are any, before we have to move our car, 7 a.m. Barakallahu feekum, hayakum Allah. Question is coming from Atlanta, Georgia. Initials AM. Assalamu alaikum. Permissibility of having photos of my newborn baby on my phone. Khairan, inshallah, la bas. Nothing wrong with that, hopefully, inshallah. MT from London, UK. If my employer impresses me by refusing to pay my salary in full when resigning, is it permissible to keep the work laptop they provided? Those who transgress upon you, what? The Quran tells us to what? Transgress upon them in a similar manner. And if you forgive and if you pardon, of course, that's better. Those who violate you, look at that. Question SJ from Strasbourg, France. How can we categorize something as being an act of worship or not in order to say if it is a bid'ah in dunya or bid'ah in religion? It's very simple. If you yourself have the knowledge to do so, then you look at the principles that the ulama have mentioned. What is ibadah? Something that Allah has commanded. Something that Allah has ordered us with regards to serving Him, getting closer to Him. Okay? Versus something that Allah commands with regards to the dunya and the world. And we told them, Kunu qiradatan khasi'in. We told them to become monkeys and apes and humiliation and shame. That was Shay Koni. That was a universal command. Be this. Kun. Be, and then it is. Versus Allah said, be patient. Call upon me. Remember me. Pray at this time. Etc., etc. And if you don't have the ability, if you don't know these qawa'id and usul, which are simple, rely upon the people of knowledge that you trust and that you respect. That which they say is bid'ah and ibadah, etc., you follow them. Wallahu a'lam. And Allah knows best. We'll stop here. Sallallahu sallam wa barak. Ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabiyina wa imamina Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.